Hi, Bill Esteb here with Perfect Patients to share with you the results and some data that we obtained from our new patient survey that I think you'll find fascinating. In the next couple of minutes, what I hope to do is to share with you some ideas to improve your new patient onboarding experience, ways that you can use your website to increase patient satisfaction, reduce negative word of mouth and those dreaded one-star reviews, increase referrals by truly becoming remarkable on that first visit, and an invitation to upgrade your website to Perfect Patients. So let's get started. People who complete surveys share one of two main key points. One, they're typically very happy with the experience that they had, or they are very unhappy. So it kind of bifurcates the results. And I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things that made new patients unhappy, and you'll see why this is significant as we go through. The Harvard Business Review published a study about the impact of negative and positive experiences. They indicated that about 25% of customers who had a positive experience told 10 people, but twice as many people who had a negative experience tell 10 people. So it's significant to try to reduce as many negative comments as possible. So let me just share with you how this data was obtained. Some of it will be review for those of you who are already Perfect Patients customers. But it all starts with a new patient who is added to your membership on your website. So you'd log in, you got a new patient, you'd log into your dashboard and click on subscribers, and you get this form that collects key data about your latest new patient. Maybe you're doing this on Fridays with all the new Friday afternoons and all the new patients for the week, and you're obviously supplying the name of the doctor if you're in a multi-doctor office, their birth date, and all the other key data that's important about a new patient. But I want to point out this one thing that I think is really cool about Perfect Patients, and it's this tagging feature at the very bottom here. You can tag customers. Now, they don't know you're tagging them, but it's a way so that you can separate out people who are parents. Let's see, you've got a backpack safety deal coming up, so you want to send an email to all of your parents. That's cool. You can do it by sorting your database on parents. Maybe you want to separate out all of your Medicare patients or Blue Cross Blue Shield, or all the headache patients or people with orthotics, or whatever it is. It's a great way to be able to really focus emails later on during the relationship by tagging them. So after you add a new patient as a member of your website, new patients would be getting an email soliciting the new patient survey. And they click on the email, and they're taken to the form on your website, as it turns out to be, and they get started, and it's very, very simple. The first thing we ask is, how did you find out about the practice? That's some valuable feedback that you'd want to know. And then all the following questions are all about just clicking on the different emojis representing their first appointment, they were seen on time, the practitioner's listening skills, the explanations they received, the helpfulness of the staff, the confidence that they can be helped, and the overall visit experience. But the coolest part, I think, was this last question. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us? And this is a free-form text field. They can type a long message, many patients did, or just one word. And that's all recorded in a database that I want to share with you. Turns out that over 250,000 new patients completed the survey. So it's a very large survey. It's a huge sampling. And as it turned out, about of those 270,000 new patients, it was 97,414 who completed that free-form text field. They wanted to add a little extra something to the survey. Now, thankfully, most of the results were quite positive. A joy from start to finish, thrilled, fantastic, great experience. I mean, these are patients who are gushing about their new patient experience. And that's, of course, what we actually want to achieve. Although not every response was positive. In fact, it turns out that 2% had a negative tone. Now, 2%'s pretty amazing. In fact, this would be a great time to raise your right hand and pat yourself on the back. I mean, everybody would like to have a 98% success rate and positive reviews from new customers. But remember, people who had a negative experience tell pretty much twice as many people. So in the words of Will Rogers, when you find yourself in a hole, you want to stop digging. And a wonderful book that you might want to pursue is entitled A Compliment is a Gift. And it talks about ways to solicit feedback, which we've done here with Perfect Patients, and what to do with that information. So let's get started. There are top 10 negatives that new patients mentioned about their first visit experience. So let's get started with number 10, fear of the unknown. And patients actually said these words, copied verbatim. And by the way, if patients misspelled words, I kept that up. If someone used all caps, I copied that over. So these are the actual words of new patients. The initial phone conversation was not very good at describing expectations for the first visit. Not having been to a chiropractor before, I had no idea what to expect. A little nervous about my first treatment. This was my first visit, and I was not prepared for how long the appointment was. I was put on the table, and I had no clue what was going on. Not sure what I'm getting myself into here. I think this whole process should be explained on the website, and I couldn't have said that better myself. Huge opportunity to explain the new patient process on that first visit so people can visualize themselves and there's less fear of the unknown. Okay, so that's number 10, fear of the unknown. The 9th top 10 negative, environmental issues. This is kind of a broad topic, as you'll see here from the patient comments, but things like, I wasn't warned of the stairs on the premises. My first impression walking into your office was very poor. The hard rock music was not very relaxing. I was so cold, it was hard to relax. I really wish you would not use so much fragrance in the office. There is an odd smell in the building. Treatment rooms could be a little more inviting, quite cold and bland. The back exam room has mold and water damage. There was mouse feces on the traction table. Yikes. How can I have confidence that you are keeping current on best practices if the environment is stale? Wow. Patients are quite observant and they draw conclusions. I mean, whether we like it or not, your office environment is a proxy for your clinical skills. So anyway, that's number 9, environmental issues. The 8th top 10 negative, too salesy. Too much preaching at the beginning. My visit was more of a sales pitch rather than a heart-to-heart patient conversation. I did not appreciate the strong sales pitch in asking me to promise to commit to care. I don't like to be pressured into purchasing supplements. The first visit felt similar to a timeshare pitch. Yikes. I felt like I was being sold a used car. I felt more time was spent trying to sell me things than actually helping me. I was turned off by the scripted nature of the report of findings and the sales pitch feeling of the correction plan. Gosh, patients are really sensitive to stuff that feels canned. It's not authentic. You want to be real careful about scripting your presentations. Felt there was fear-based sales techniques being used. Felt like I was getting scammed. Unhelpful. Number 7, lack of privacy. I could hear conversations that were taking place in adjacent rooms. There was no private room for the patient during procedures. Have you thought about privacy concerns by seeing patients with the doors open? It was strange that you do have adjustments in an open room where other patients are able to listen to your questions. It's a bit uncomfortable with everyone watching my adjustments. Felt a little bit uncomfortable that I was asked to completely undress and there were 2 male doctors present but no female in the room. Yikes and double yikes. You know, if you have an open office environment, that's cool. There's great advantages to that, and, I'm not here to pass judgment on that. But patients who are confronted with that, particularly with the experience that they've had with medical practitioners, might find that a little odd. So you might want to remember, if you have an open office environment, to be sure to explain why you do that and the community it creates and all the other positive aspects of it. That's the environmental issue, too salesy, lack of privacy, and number 6, feeling rushed. And this is a biggie. We're getting up here the top 10 of the top 10, and feeling rushed is a real concern by many patients who mentioned it seemed that the doctor was in a hurry. He didn't pay much attention to what I was saying. The doctor seemed rushed in the meeting room for initial consult. I felt a little rushed and hurried that left me confused. Fast talking does not make me feel welcome or secure about future treatment. The doctor talks at about 300 words a minute, and it comes across that he doesn't want to be interrupted. By the way, I'm speaking at about 150 words per minute, so that was a fast-talking doctor. I almost feel like I'm on an assembly line. Feels like a conveyor belt of patients when I get there. I felt like cattle, and the overall experience was too impersonal. I feel your office is like a factory. Feeling rushed. Number 5, cleanliness. Now, these comments in particular came before COVID, which I think probably put this whole issue on steroids, just to keep that front and center. The practice was not as clean as I would have liked. The carpet could do with a good clean. Make sure to clean the treatment table. It smelled very strong of cologne from another patient. Does the staff wipe down the equipment with disinfecting wipes before it is used by another patient? The room was grody, and yes, that's how you spell grody. I had to look it up myself. I was mildly put off by the scent of cigarettes on the doctor. Doctor was super sweaty, and it grossed me out. I never see either the doctor or staff disinfecting anything between patients, including hands. Didn't wash hands after touching previous patients' feet before beginning treatment on my face and back. Number 4, staffing. Patients mentioned staffing issues such as your front desk person could be a little bit more friendly. When I arrived, I was not greeted by the receptionist, who was talking loudly on her personal phone, and I had to stand there awkwardly. The office staff seemed a bit disorganized and wasn't very welcoming. The one behind the desk had her mind and energies on other things when I came in, and it took her a while to pay attention to me. Staff needs to be more knowledgeable about Medicare. Front desk person knew nothing about supplements. Your staff have no clue what they're doing and can't answer questions. Your billing person was rude and uncooperative. When I left, I was upset and was not sure I wanted to return. The girl at the front did not seem like she wanted to be there. The front desk staff appeared very overworked. You need a receptionist. So that was the staffing issue. And number 3, there's no excuse for this. Wrong name. My name has been spelled incorrectly. My name is Jane, not Judy. My name is spelled Cheryl. My first name is Joan, not Jean. My last name had 2 typos. Please correct the spelling of my first name. It's spelled Kimberly, not Kimberly. And finally, my name is Orland, not Orlando. Gosh, I think it was Carnegie who made the observation that in any language, our name is the most precious sound. So it's really important to get the name right. No excuse for that. Number 2, time concerns. Time. Website says first visit would take up to 1 hour. My visit was almost 1.5 hours. This was my first visit, and I was not prepared for how long the appointment was. Often have to wait 20 minutes past appointment time to see the doctor. That can be frustrating. A 35-minute wait is excessive and was not recognized by the staff. After the initial wait of 40 minutes, I was not happy. I sat waiting for 50 minutes after my appointment time with no explanation from the receptionist until I asked what was happening. We waited almost an hour for the appointment. Waited 1 hour and 15 minutes after my scheduled appointment to be seen. Wait times could be improved. Spending over an hour in an office for a 15-minute visit appointment is crazy. Your time is valuable, so is mine. I waited way too long for an adjustment. Never again. Sounds like that might be the end of that relationship. Okay, the top number one complaint, and it's a biggie. And you may have guessed it by now, but it's a biggie. Financial policy. Here we go. Misleading information on the telephone and by receptionist regarding initial cost. Was not happy that doctor didn't disclose fees up front. It would be good to give upfront information about the cost for a visit. I learned about the rates only after I got the bill. Yikes. Was not informed up front that our insurance was considered out of network. I was not aware of the $80 charge until after services had already been rendered. I was not aware that the therapy after my adjustment would be $35 additional charge. The cost of the x-rays was explained, around $110, but the fee to interpret the x-rays was not. Come on, guys. The billing I was quoted was very different than what I was billed. I asked how much it would cost, and they told me $50, being I don't have insurance. When I checked out, I was told it was $110. The practice seems to be all about money than the patients. I did not like that I was overcharged, and the money was kept until I asked for its return. I wish your program was more about me and less about insurance. I'm concerned about how the billing is handled. There are several yellow flags that are making me reluctant to proceed. I think I was scammed out of $300. I would like a refund. Yikes. So that's the top 10 list of negatives. Very concerning. And these are in the words of actual patients. So what I would like to share with you, just in closing here, are three ideas that came up repeatedly in patient focus groups I've conducted, as well as in this new patient survey. These are ideas that patients consistently remark how amazing it was to have actually happened. So here's some strategies to make your new patient onboarding experience remarkable for new patients. The first is to turn listening into a superpower. And this is so easy, particularly when the medical practitioners that most patients have had experience with in the past are such poor listeners. So here are some reminders about how to turn listening into a superpower. Number one, be 100% present with the patient. Don't be trying to eavesdrop in on a conversation that's happening out at the front desk or watching, checking your watch or whatever issues. Be there with the patient and avoid interrupting. I think the research by Harvard medical folks suggested that most medical doctors interrupt the patient after like 6 or 12. It's a few seconds and patients are being interrupted. So trying to move them along. There's nothing quite as luxurious to a new patient as being able to explain the situation without being interrupted. Obviously, be authentically curious, ask follow-up questions, and loop back. Put into your own words what you're actually hearing patients actually saying and put it back in your own words. That's called looping back. And then listen for unusual words. This is something that my chiropractor number 10 taught me, that usually when people use an unusual word, a word that doesn't come up in just casual conversation, it usually means there's a whole story attached to that word. So if they say something strange or a little unusual or a strange word choice, be sure to ask what they mean by that word. Very, very powerful. So that's how to turn listening into superpower briefly. And the second thing is to go on a field trip. It's so easy to lose beginner's mind. You're in your practice all day long. You stop noticing some of the things that new people see when they walk into your office environment for the first time. So I recommend that on maybe someday when you're doing a staff training or a staff meeting, take the entire crew out to the parking lot, out to the street, or wherever people park for your practice, and start there and start taking notes. The parking lot. Are there printed lines? Is the paint fading? Are there cigarette butts? Is there litter? How are the gardens being taken care of out along the front door? Are there steps leading up into the practice? And walk in the front door as if you were a stranger from another land and take notes, looking for chipped paint, for dirty carpet, for scuff marks, for where patients have kicked underneath where the patient signs in, tile with water stains or dirt, dirty handles. Just look for things in terms of your brochure rack and the magazines or however you decorated the front office. Are the pictures crooked? Look for little details that, because patients have incredible acuity when they're walking into a strange situation, because your practice, like it or not fair, but it's a proxy for your clinical skills and the experience that patients are likely to have. So a field trip, powerful way to improve that first impression and most lasting that a new patient has. And finally, call the evening of the first adjustment. I cannot tell you how many times this has shown up in actual patient focus groups, how they thought that was truly remarkable and showed that you genuinely cared about them. And I don't know, many are afraid of doing this for some reason, and there should be no fear of it. Hi, Dr. Your Name here, just checking in to see how you're getting along and answer any questions that you or your husband might have. And then you zip the lip and wait for patients to talk. And there's really only 3 possible answers. I feel better, feel worse, no change. And all of those questions or observations that a patient makes, your response is always, I was expecting that. And then go on and explain why they might be feeling better or feeling worse or no change. Powerful, powerful, powerful. If you're a current Perfect Patients customer, and this is probably a review for you, but if you're not using all the features that come with your website, it might be time to reach out to a Perfect Patients representative and have an orientation so that you get all the benefits from your website, particularly if you've had a staff change since getting your Perfect Patients website. And if you're not a Perfect Patients customer yet, I hope you'll become one. At least book a discovery call to find out maybe some opportunities that could be used with your current website. Maybe find out which of the service plans make sense for Perfect Patients. Just get your questions answered about digital marketing in general. And I just about forgot here. We have, it turns out patients have commented about the website as well. They said, I recently moved to the area and sought out a new chiropractor via a web search. That's how it's done, frankly. Your website was more informative than most, and I looked at quite a few. Most patients do. It was your website that finally helped me decide where to begin. Your website was very reassuring. It gave me confidence to book an appointment. Love the website. Very nicely done. I think that's a good phrase to end on. I hope you found this helpful and appreciate you watching. And here's hoping that all of your new patients are perfect patients.